Board will meet on Monday, August 17, 2026 at 6 p.m. Members of the public are welcome to attend in-person meeting in the cafeteria of the Freeman Kennedy School, 70 Boardman Street, Norfolk, Mass. Executive session will be held in the Superintendent's Conference Room at the Freeman Kennedy School. This meeting will be audio and video recorded for future broadcasts, alternative public access, and the meeting will be provided through NCTV. This application will allow users to view the recording meeting at later date. I call the meeting to order. The Select Board will be entering into executive session, and the Board will return to open session at the conclusion of the executive session, roughly around 7 o'clock. I request a motion for the Board to vote to convene to executive session, MGL 30A and 21A3, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for potential litigation that is likely to result from the issues raised in the August 4th, 2026 letter from the Inspector General to the Town of Norfolk, insofar as an open meeting may have detrimental effects on the litigating positions of the public body in ongoing litigations related to the Burke, Ronald J. Avell versus Town of Norfolk, Norfolk Superior Court civil action number 2582CV00807. Connerworks versus Norfolk ZBA civil number 2582CV0837, 115 Park Street. And the trustees of the Norfolk Town Center Condominium Trust and trustees of Meeting House Village Condominiums Trust, insofar as an open meeting may be detrimental effect on the litigating positions of these public bodies. Roll call vote.
We need a motion.
So moved. Second. Roll call vote.
Kevin Roach.
Anita Mecklenburg, aye.
Taia Sigmund, aye.
Kevin Roach, aye.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to public comments, Justin reached out and offered to reimburse the town for the amount in the Attorney Inspector General's report, so. Tonight, the board will share the findings of the recent Inspector General's report, what we have done, and what we'll do to improve the town government. First, I want to acknowledge our frustration about the findings in the IG report. You pay taxes, and you should expect better. The town cooperated fully with the Inspector General's office for nearly a year after being approached. The final report includes several matters that the town found and shared with the Inspector General. We have already addressed many procurement issues. We have assigned chief procurement officers, designated senior staff as certified public person officials, and developed new protocols to ensure the town complies with the law. We look forward to, we will work towards the Inspector General's recommendations in the next few months. We are committed to an outside review to ensure our procedures and transparent meet best practices. Finally, we have heard many comments that we kept the investigation secret, creating more controversy. Town council advised us not to comment on the report before it came out, as requested by the IG. This allowed the IG's office to maintain the integrity on its work while protecting personal rights of everyone working in the town hall. We have learned a lot as a board. We have volunteers. We need to trust our department heads. Moving forwards, that trust will come with more checks and balances. We have a new town administrator, a new DPW chief, and we're building a new leadership team. We have seen already that they are committed to doing the right thing for Norfolk. We promise we'll be open as possible as we make changes. We'll start tonight with public comment following this presentation. The IG report will become a regular agenda item and an update on our progress. We'll also schedule a forum on the report in the upcoming weeks to give one more chance to speak. Do you have a brief presentation you'd like? Okay.
I'd also like to read a statement. The Norfolk Select Board takes the findings and recommendations contained in the Massachusetts Inspector General's August 4th, 2026 letter very seriously. The report identifies deficiencies in the town's procurement practices, financial controls, personnel policies, timekeeping, use of town resources, and oversight of the town administrator. We recognize that these findings raise legitimate concerns among residents about accountability, transparency, and the responsible stewardship of public resources. The board has also, as mentioned, cooperated fully with the Inspector General's office throughout its review. While the report primarily addresses actions and practices involving former town employees and officials, the Inspector General also identified shortcomings in the Select Board's oversight. We accept that finding and recognize that effective governance requires the board to have appropriate systems in place to provide meaningful oversight, ensure compliance with town policies, and safeguard public resources. We are committed to learning from these findings and are taking concrete steps to strengthen the town systems and processes. This includes enhanced procurement controls, clear approval of reimbursement procedures, stronger financial safeguards, improved timekeeping and remote work policies, updated HR and IT policies, and more clearly defined oversight responsibilities between the Select Board and the town administrator. We are particularly committed to ensuring that appropriate controls are in place so that no individual employee or department can operate outside established policies or circumvent the town's financial and procurement safeguards. The town has already begun implementing several of the IG's recommendations, including the appointment of a chief procurement officer, development of comprehensive procurement practices, and enhanced review of contracts and procurements. The town is also evaluating, as mentioned, an independent audit of its processes, policies, and selected transactions. And we plan to hire an outside auditing firm to conduct a comprehensive review of deficiencies in the town's operating policies and procedures. We also recognize the importance of transparency. The Inspector General has called for the town to report to town meeting on the findings and the steps being taken to address them. We support that recommendation and believe residents deserve a clear accounting of what occurred, what has been corrected, and what additional safeguards will be put in place. The Select Board will continue to monitor implementation of each recommendation and expects regular reporting on progress. Our responsibility is simply not to respond to this report, but to ensure that the lessons identified through this process result in lasting improvements to the town governance. We are committed to accountability, transparency, and responsible stewardship of taxpayer dollars. We appreciate the work of the Inspector General's office and the town staff throughout this process, and will continue working to ensure that Norfolk has the policies, controls, and oversight necessary to maintain the public trust. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. I will take a brief run through the IG's report so you have all context of what the IG found and some of what we've already been doing. So, as you all know, we received the letter on the 4th of August. It was a long investigation. Town officials and town council cooperated fully with the IG staff. It's important to note that the two primary former Norfolk employees are indeed former Norfolk employees. The letter contains 15 different recommendations that span procurement, HR, timekeeping, IT policies, and financial controls. And I have been in contact with the IG's office several times over the past 2 weeks, and we'll be having a meeting to go through their findings and recommendations, sort of a typical closeout meeting. There were 9 findings specifically in the report. We did not follow procurement laws in 3 different instances. One was the installation of emergency lighting on a vehicle at the DPW. One was the Kubota tractor and purchase, and the third was a tub grinder purchase, which was approved by town meeting but not purchased properly. It's important to note that Massachusetts has a good, strong public purchasing statute, Chapter 30B. It is, however, very technical, and the town failed in several regards to follow it. The IG noted that funding was diverted from sub-accounts to make large purchases. It's important to note, I feel, that that is not actually illegal. The way the town votes their budget, we vote bottom line numbers for areas, general government, public safety. There is the opportunity to, within those accounts, use different sub-accounts. They also found improper clothing reimbursements for the DPW director, use of town resources to benefit a former town official. The town administrator did not properly oversee the DPW director. The town administrator also, the IG feels, abused his vacation time for financial advantage. And finally, the select board failed to adequately oversee the town administrator. These 15 recommendations are on a timeline. They require a report back to the IG, some of them as early as 30 days, which would be the beginning of September, and others as late as 180 days, which is the end of January. And I promise I'll be brief on these. So these are the 15 recommendations by category. Procurement. They want us to implement an authorization policy and procedure requiring higher level review and approval of all procurement and reimbursement payments. At the end, I will tell you where we are in these things, but I just want you to know this has already started to be addressed. Enroll the town's department heads, financial personnel, and especially members of the select board in training to facilitate better understandings of their fiduciary and oversight duties. Designate at least one town procurement official as the CPO, and that person should be an MCPPO. We currently have 4 on staff. HR policies. Create a townwide policy prohibiting the personal use of DPW facilities. Very elementary. Select board needs to review and create processes for properly overseeing the town administrator so that the deficiencies highlighted in the letter, primarily work schedule and ensuring proper leave accrual, are taken care of. They would like us to modify our HR handbook to ensure applicability to all employees. So even those employees who we have a limited number of employees under contracts, but all of those employees should also be under the HR policy and HR handbook. Create a comprehensive remote work policy. The town has several times adopted remote work policies. These policies need some refreshing. Create a townwide IT policy governing the use of IT resources. Adopt a modern digital timekeeping system for town employees that will record with specificity when employees are working, using vacation time, sick time, personal time. Abolish the use of non-specific and unverifiable other time, and ensure town employees work regular time at designated work site, absent written permission. For financial controls, they would like us to reconsider the policy of allowing sub-accounts to be, multiple sub-accounts to be used for one purchase. They would like us to notify our own accounting firm, our auditing firm, about the letter, seek guidance on how to reimburse the water department, primarily for the purchase of, the water department paid for part of the purchase of the Kubota tractor. That's what they're referencing there. They would also like us to review our enterprise accounts, including the water, wastewater, and to establish proper controls to mitigate future risks and prevent the improper use of enterprise funds. And finally, they would like us to take appropriate action, pursue reimbursements from the former DPW director, the town administrator, and the former town official who benefited. And then finally, they've required us to notify the town meeting at its next gathering of this report. So the town meeting in November, we would be doing another report on this. So work underway. Back in February, the town appointed Amanda Johan as our CPO. Amanda is she has a master's in business administration, and she is an MCPPO certified individual. We've been working on a procurement guide. It is near completion. We have, in reaction to the IG's response, we promulgated a series of interim policies last week. So all department head timesheets have to be signed off by me. My timesheet will be signed off by also the finance director and will be emailed to the select board. All contracts must be approved by the CPO, which is a standard. And the CPO must be consulted on all procurements over $5,000. We've talked to the IG's office. They've asked for training. We talked to the IG's office about having them come in and do a special training for us, having our department heads and critical procurement people, because normally the IG trainings are remote, and we could ask people to go and do them, but I think it'd be more effective to do an insight so we can actually see how people are taking the information and make sure that they're fully getting it. We last week met with a company that does digital timekeeping for about half the towns in Norfolk County, it seems. Their program interfaces well with our payroll program, so that's something we're waiting back for a quote from them on, and we will be implementing. The HR and IT policies they talked about, as I said, in many cases we've already had policies. We have remote policies. We do have an IT policy, but we are improving them. And we'll be going back to the select board with updated versions. And finally, the employee handbook is being updated, and we'll go back to the select board. The select board actually added items to it 2 or 3 years ago, which were never fully implemented. We're going to finally implement that and get that underway. We've hired some HR assistants for the short term to help us out with those. Next steps, as the board mentioned, we're looking at an outside auditor, outside of our regular auditor, to consider both our processes, policies, and also look at certain activities. We will be reporting to town meeting. As the chairman mentioned, there will be another opportunity to discuss this in September, and I am going to be putting this item on the regular select board meeting at least once a month. We'll be doing a tracking session where we have the 15 recommendations, where we are, green, yellow, red, typical for, many people use these at work. Right now, the yellow items actually, 2 of them, 4 and 5, were taken care of earlier in executive session. The board has decided that they will be pursuing reimbursements from the officials, and Justin, as was mentioned, has already talked about doing that. And these also, the two yellow items are actually now green after a discussion with the finance director today. I didn't have a chance to update those, but most of these items are underway in some way or shape or form. We've had a CPO since February, and we will keep reporting on this regularly because this is a known issue that when I came on, was mentioned procurement was a large challenge for a town like Norfolk, and it is, but we've been taking this seriously. So I wanted to give you folks an update on where we are, let you know what was said to us and how we're reacting to it. Mr. Chairman?
Okay, I'm going to open up for public comment. Everyone, yes. Everyone, when you come up to the microphone, state your name and address, please. And we're going to allow 3 minutes for public comment.
Good evening to the board and to everyone assembled and to the media here assembled tonight. Glen Hill, 22 Tucker Road. The Inspector General published findings related to actions and inactions by Norfolk officials, including inadequate supervision of the former town administrator by the Select Board. The findings suggest deeply troubling leadership, control, and supervisory failures. A finding of diversion of public resources to a non-resident former town official, where costs were shifted from this official back on to town of Norfolk and taxpayers, is even more troubling. The public has the right to know what actions will be undertaken by the town to address these findings, including how and when the town will be reimbursed for funds and the dollar value of services obtained outside of employment contracts and the law, and how, when, and by whom incremental controls will be applied and enforced in the future to prevent abuse and waste of taxpayer dollars and diversion of town resources to those who are not entitled to receive them. The IG cited in his letter 15 recommendations. I call on the board and town administrator to take constructive and affirmative action to fulfill each and every recommendation made by the IG, and while doing so, to create and publish in electronic form specific documents enumerating the plan to address each finding, including a timeline of what steps have and will be taken, and the names and titles of town officials and employees who have been assigned responsibility for each step. I call on the board and the town administrator to take any and every available legally permissible step to cause or cause to be created, and then appoint a citizens oversight committee of not less than 5 registered Norfolk voters, to which the town administrator and select board shall report monthly on progress made on IG recommendations. The committee shall have the right to question the select board and the town administrator inside of a monthly open meeting, and shall on a monthly basis publish meeting minutes. The committee shall vote to dissolve itself or shall be dissolved only after the committee determines by majority vote the town has fulfilled each and every recommendation cited in the IG's letter. I call on the board to promptly order or cause to be ordered an independent forensic audit of all records of time worked, vacation time, sick time, expense reports, receipts, purchases, reimbursements, and sums paid to former town administrator Casanova Davis and former DPW director Crane, dating back to their very first dates of employment, with a full and unredacted copy of the results to be released to the public within 5 days after a final report is delivered to the board. I call on the board to promptly order or cause to be ordered an independent forensic audit of all records of time worked, vacation time, sick time, expense reports, receipts, purchases, reimbursement, and sums paid to the currently unnamed former town official to whom Norfolk Public Resources were diverted, dating back to his very first day of employment, with a full and unredacted copy of the results to be publicly released within 5 days after a final report is delivered to the board. I call on the board to publicly disclose the name of the former town official who received goods and services diverted from the town and its taxpayers. Unless this former official is expected to be named in a sealed indictment, there is no cognizable reason the name remains shielded from public view. I call on the board to, without delay, to use all lawful means to recover from those who receive financial or other services, sums, and benefits outside of law and regulation and outside the terms and conditions of employment contracts the full dollar value of such benefits. Finally, it is proposed that by taking affirmative and constructive action to fulfill each and every recommendation now before the town, including those issued by the IG and those inside the foregoing public comment, the town will be better positioned to regain public trust and confidence. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Adam Mitchell. I live at 53 Boardman Street. I just want to know who allowed you guys to spend the money on these private people that are coming in. How much is that going to cost? how much more of our tax dollars are going to get wasted for this. You know, you folks sit up there and nod your heads, politicians, it's okay. But integrity only counts when nobody's looking. All of us voted you in because you're supposed to be people of integrity. You're wasting our money, you're raising our taxes, we get less community services than we did before. I mean, come on, folks, give me a break. I'm just a working guy, I'm a plumber. There's a ton of us in here, wasting our money. It's disgusting.
Good evening, my name's Tim Conowitz. I rent at 115 Park Street, Norfolk. I'm a tenant there. And this board I'm disgusted with, because they all knew this. I'm the guy that had the OIG at my house. I'm the guy that had the Attorney General at my house, because they did nothing. This board did nothing when I went to them. Nothing. I can't speak for Rob Garrity, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's another division of this town with an elected official that's using town council's money to fight me. I can't speak about it. My attorney knows what I was going to say tonight. That's all I'm going to say, but it's a lot more than Justin took in money what he's using.
Well, I just want to say in response to that, as was mentioned, we have cooperated fully with the Inspector General's office. We were not allowed to, because of the ongoing investigation, release any names. Otherwise, we would dilute the investigation itself, and the insinuation that we did nothing is just not accurate.
You weren't on the board at the time.
So I'm personally speaking for myself then, because I was called out here. So I just want to acknowledge that comment and say that, doing nothing
I just want to
was...
address this young lady again. I'm sorry, you weren't part. It was Anita and Kevin that were on the board at that time. And Jim Lahan had played in this. This has been going on for years. So I can only imagine maybe town council will tell the people in Norfolk at some point how much money he's collected, but I know how much I've spent on this. It's called a neighborhood dispute. It should have never gone this far.
Sir, please, we can't have comments. We have time. Everyone needs to come up to the microphone. Thank you.
Nobody else is up there, so I figured I'll ask. Where do you guys get up?
Don't respond.
Lawyers, other things. How does that happen without us, the people? Isn't this we the people?
Are there any other comments?
Does anyone else have any comments?
Jack Oliveri, 4 Barrel Place. So I wanted to say, in only 3 years, Norfolk has managed to rack up 3 scandals, including 2 damaging reports from the Officer of Inspector General. It's good you finally got an epiphany about this, but this has been going on for a while. The latest one, the Inspector General himself has called troubling. They ran the gamut, including public corruption, misuse of taxpayer funds, violations of state procurement policy, theft, lack of oversight, and so on. Several of us have asked to discuss the root cause of some of these issues back in 2025, so they weren't repeated. And we were told by a member of the board, quote, mistakes were made, or we want to look forward, not backward, or we are still learning. That's not acceptable. Several town hall employees had multiple discussions over the years with select board members about the former TA and DPW, and the response was, quote, stop the chatter, quote, don't be toxic. And one select board member responded, I don't want to hear it. This led to a working environment where the bad behavior at the top was not only allowed, but seemed to be condoned. There are 2 attributes everyone in town is talking about today: transparency and accountability. This has been mentioned many times before, but the board still doesn't seem to get the concept. Some examples are, the first OIG investigation released in 2025 indicated that the solar farm lease agreement signed by the select board at the time had many flaws, including, again, improper procurement procedures, accepting a low lease payment from the developer, and changing requirements after the bid was accepted. The TA and board at the time was unable to provide a clear explanation of why there were no documented justification in the files. One recommendation was to consult with the town council to evaluate whether the RFP should be amended or reissued. Was this discussed? We don't know, because there was no transparency. Police misconduct. An independent investigation commissioned by the Norfolk Police Department, police chief found violations perpetrated by one police officer included multiple on-duty assaults and battery by means of a dangerous weapon, as outlined by victims and witnesses in this investigation are called felonies. I asked the chief why no charges were filed for the multiple assaults and why officers were allowed to resign instead of being fired. His response was, the law does not obligate a municipal officer to answer questions. The public source for information is seek records under the Public Records Act. If you wish to reform your questions into a request for records, I will produce responsive records, if any exist. It also said, much of what you ask, however, seeks my internal judgment and discretion, which is not appropriate to share with the public, because it necessarily incorporates privileged and confidential information. So where is the transparency and accountability we were promised? Well, it's right there in the Norfolk Police mission statement. Quote, the Norfolk Police Department is committed to serving and protecting every person in our community with integrity, transparency, and accountability. We build trust and we pursue justice for all by ensuring fair, equitable treatment and unbiased enforcement of the law. The latest OIG report spoke about DPW misuse of taxpayer funds, non-existent oversight by the former town administrator and the select board, lack of procurement again and again, and the TA banking vacation time. Regarding the misuse of taxpayer money, we want all of our money back, not just some of it. And my position is, if you are on the select board during any of these scandals, you need to resign now. Think it over.
Kathy Brown, 21C Cronk Street. So I just have a question for you guys. How do we find out exactly how much Justin is paying back to us? You have mentioned it a couple of times that
He was paying back what was found in the IIG, the $5,300 and...
What about the $18,000 in sick time that he got paid early?
That was vacation time.
I believe it said sick time in the thing.
No.
Oh, maybe it's vacation time. And then
We'll attach this letter to the minutes.
And then didn't he leave a couple weeks early, but we still paid him? Sure.
I'm not aware of that.
He stayed right until the very last day here working for the town. Just
I
asking.
don't know, actually.
I can look into that, but I'm not sure, so I don't want
I'm
to...
confident he wasn't here until...
We can't really comment on what the specifics around him. He's in discussion with the IG's office. He is disputing some of the findings in the report. He has written the select board a letter with the dollar amount that he will be reimbursing the town for, and that letter will be published in the meeting minutes, so you will all get a chance to read
Okay,
it.
it's
But we
just-
can't talk specifics about what he's doing because he's in active discussions. He does not agree with all of the findings in that report.
Because you did open the door and you said he was paying it.
No, he is paying that...
He's paying the amount that was...
$5,000, I mean, I think for everything that's going on, it sounds like it should be more.
The IG's letter says these improperly paid hours represent $5,304 of his $18,475 collected upon departure, which was his unused vacation time. So $5,000, $5,304 was the amount the IG requested that we...
And then if you do an independent audit, and you find more, are you still going to ask him for more?
Speak to that.
What?
When we find the audit, then we'll
Share.
find out, determine what we do next.
Okay, and then what kind of audit are you guys going to conduct? Is it going to be a full audit, just bits and pieces?
We're still talking with audit firms about what's possible and what's affordable.
Because it said 2 different types of audits, so I was just curious.
But we'd like to do two different types of audits.
The forensic audit on the payroll, the vacation time and sick time of some of the employees for the past couple of years and employees that have left. And the other audit is on policies and procedures. That's why the 2 different audits.
And then now who's going to be responsible for this Kubota or whatever? Am I thinking of some log splitter or something, the one that wasn't working?
The Kubota is still a town asset. He procured it improperly, but the town still has it.
So we're stuck with it?
We're using it, it gets used at the highway department.
Okay.
It's okay. David Rosenberg, 123 North Street. I just wanted to verify that of the various documents you were talking about, modifying the employee handbook, other policies, I don't have the full list, but you talked about a number of things you were proactively doing. Will they all be visible to all town residents through the web, for example? Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep.
Hey, everybody. My name is Bill Hill. I live at 49 Needham Street, and I've lived here for pretty much most of my 60 years of life. Like many of you, I was shocked to learn about the recent controversies involving the management of town funds and resources, and what seems to be a lack of oversight among town agencies, officials, and the residents of this town. Rather than recount the details of the solar farm, DPW misuse of funds, police controversies, or the large vacation time payout received by our former town administrator that has since been publicly questioned, I leave it to others with more knowledge to determine exactly what happened and why. I'm not standing here to blame any official, past or present. If anything, I blame myself and other residents who have gone along without paying enough attention to the issues before our town boards and how they're handled. In the 70s, Norfolk was a very different place where everybody knew virtually everybody else. People knew who served on the boards, what the issues were, and what the town genuinely needed. Taxpayer money was spent sparingly. We knew the people on the police and fire departments by name because they were our neighbors. Town meetings often had heated debates over new developments, whether we could afford to extend town water, or even whether it was environmentally safe to spray for mosquitoes. But in the end, decisions were generally made with the common good in mind. We are not that small town anymore. I've lived here virtually my entire life, yet today I know very little about the details of major projects and decisions being considered by our select board, zoning board, and planning boards. I don't understand why it sometimes seems that no government body has meaningful oversight over another. Nor does it seem that citizens have enough say in decisions involving things like clear-cutting large areas for a solar farm, with little benefit to the town. Massive 40B developments or agreements that can leave taxpayers responsible for substantial payouts. We cannot simply cast our votes in local elections and then blindly trust that everything will be handled in our best interests. My hope is that the recent events in Norfolk cause more of us to pay attention, learn the issues, ask questions, and insist upon meaningful oversight and real transparency for the taxpayers. We cannot simply cast our votes on election day and then put the blinders back on. This is our town. Its government belongs to us, its money belongs to us, and ultimately its future is our responsibility. All of us need to be more vigilant and aware of things that affect us. I know all you people are serving us. I'm not here to blame anybody. If anything, I think that it's up to all of us to pay more attention and to communicate with each other. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge that comment and just acknowledge the fact that, no, this isn't the Norfolk of the 1970s. And some of our policies and procedures are still in that, in that era, if you will. I think any growing organization, any growing town needs to take a hard look at policies and procedures as you grow. And that's something that, was found in the IG report and something that we need to do as a town, because we're still operating like we're that small town, and we're just not anymore. We have a $56 million budget, and our policies and procedures need to be tightened up. So again, we take accountability for that, and we are addressing that.
That was sort of my point, and I just think that citizens need to take part in all of this too. Like, we can't just vote on election day and pretend that...
We have 40 seats at the select board meeting, and they're empty every meeting.
And I'm blaming myself and everybody who does what I do.
Would encourage folks to come to town meeting. We have pre-town meetings to answer questions, and town meetings, and we are reaching out to partnership with our legislative partners.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Ed Nolan, 5 Medway Branch. I'm going to address your first comment. When you go to town meeting, the moderator's not too friendly. People bring up questions. I go to every spring town meeting, and he says, no, we're not talking about that now. So you might want to readdress that and to be more cordial to people come to a town meeting and ask questions. Now, granted, some of them get long-winded, and okay, I understand you only get 3 minutes or whatever, but that's about the only time you can speak to the whole board in front of everybody and get your questions answered. Now, I'm going to address your issue. I agree with about 90% of what was said here tonight. And I know we're all trying hard, but I think you put the cart before the horse. You're in talks and negotiations with the prior town administrator, but you haven't done the audit yet. Well, I got to tell you, I have a lot of experience in auditing. I'm a certified internal auditor, a certified fraud examiner. You're supposed to do the audit first, and then you come up with all your findings, and then you go to the people and say, this is what we found, and this is what we have, and then you figure out. I don't want to go to Justin now and say, hey, you're going to pay this much? No. Wait till I'm done my work, and then I'll tell you if I think that's a fair amount. And like people have said here, we should get all of it back. It was taken from us wrongly, okay? I'm not an attorney, but I do a lot of this work every day, and I'm still working, all right? And it takes a long time to go through an audit. Best thing I think the board could do for all of us is be more, I know this word is used a lot, transparency, but tell us when you're going to put out maybe a weekly statement. We've done this week. Between now and the town meeting, that's a few months away. What are we going to do in those few months? Just talk to our neighbors? We don't know anything, all right? And yes, okay, as Bill said, maybe we're back into the dark ages. Okay, we can roll that forward, but in doing so, be proactive, not reactive. And wait, if you're going to hire any kind of an auditing firm to do that, do it, and wait for their report before you go into discussions with the people you want to make restitutions. That's why you're putting the cart before the horse. You don't know what he really, did he take vacation time? Did he take sick time? I don't know.
So I just want to stop you for a second because we're not in discussions with the former town administrator. He wrote us a letter and offered to reimburse us, which will be made available to the public. We are not in discussions with him. We are addressing, we have to address, we have a 30, 60, and a 120-day period where we have to respond to the IG's requests. So that is what we're doing. If there are other things that come up in the audit, we will absolutely address those as well, but we have an obligation to respond to the IG.
And there were specific dollar amounts in the IG's report, so that we are required to respond to those.
So you respond to those, but then say, okay, I'm going to leave it open until my audit's completed, because I may want more.
The findings of the audit will also be made available to the public, and we will, we are going to post, as Rob mentioned, all of the action items that we are required to take based on what is in the IG report right now. So that's what we're doing. We're not, in discussions with anyone. We are responding to...
Didn't you just say a few minutes ago that you couldn't talk about Justin because the IG or somebody was in discussion with him?
He is in discussions with them. It is in his letter, which will be made available to the public. We are not in discussions with him. He sent us a letter offering to reimburse the dollar amount that has been put forth in the IG report.
And so you're saying we have 30 or 60, 90 days, whatever we have to respond to that.
To respond to those 15 action items that Mr. Garrity posted up here.
If the auditor is not done with their report until after that, and they come back and say, Justin owes us X dollars more, how do we get that back?
We will pursue that, but we can't speculate as to what the findings will be at this time.
So why don't we just postpone going after him and do...
We're not...
So, Mr. Nolan?
Thank you.
We've been recommended by the IG to recover X funds from this person, Y funds from this person, Z funds from this person. This is what we're doing. We're taking additional steps. The IG did a pretty in-depth investigation, but we're going to take additional steps. But we are responding to what the IG has requested that we do. So you probably haven't seen the letter. It is on the website. I can email it to you tomorrow, so you can see exactly what they asked us to do and how.
If you would, that'd be great. Thank you all.
Are you looking for a job? Because I think they're looking for one. It sounds pretty good. We're like...
Hello, I'm Stephanie Knock at 76 King Street. I just have a couple questions. I was just looking at the OIG report. I know we discussed a lot about Justin, but we didn't say anything about Blair. Can you discuss how you're going to pursue getting the money back from Blair? And then I'm also curious, it says about a former town official that benefited from Crane's abuse of authority. Can you let us know who that is? Bob?
So with respect to your first question, the board in executive session instructed me to recover the other funds from the other members, the other people mentioned. The unmentioned person has been, it's been discussed on the web already. It's Bob Bullock, the former building inspector.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
A question. So you, I believe, live on the street. You folks are all from town. You are us. Why do we need a lawyer to protect you from ourselves? Why do we need a lawyer to tell you what you can answer and what you can't? As I see you talking so you can respond to her, I don't understand. I don't understand how much money are we wasting paying lawyers and auditors and, you know, special counsels, and why are we spending this money?
Mr. Mitchell, the best answer I can give you is because we really want to do everything properly.
So spending more money that the town doesn't have so they can raise more taxes is what we want? Is that
If we
really
say the
what we
wrong
want?
thing, we can be in, there could be legal liabilities where we have to get a lawyer to be in court. So that's what we're trying to prevent.
You should. Everybody's talking about these small potato things. We all have lived in town for years. I've lived here for 24 years of my life. I moved here for a better life for my family. I've watched the corruption in town. We all have. And we sit here because this one little piece got caught. And we sit here and we say, fix it. And you're like, okay, we're going to spend this money and we're going to spend that money and we're going to talk to the lawyer to make sure we say the right things. You live here for crying out loud.
We're talking to the lawyers to make sure we do the right things.
Talking to the lawyers, you're talking to your neighbors, and you're talking to the lawyer before you speak to your neighbor. That's horrible. That's the integrity, folks. That's what we've lost in our society. Nobody has any more integrity, okay? And none of you have shown me any. I've been here through all of this for 24 years, and you all know what I've done. You all know where I stand. I'm very loud when things happen. This is disgusting.
It's common practice for towns to have a town attorney, and it's common practice for towns to have a town attorney.
I understand that.
And I have
run a
addressed
business. A
most
lot
of these
people-
questions without consulting with anyone. I mean, we're
I know,
trying to
but it's
do
the-
right
It's the hard
by.
questions that we talk to the attorney. But why does an attorney have to be here tonight? You're talking to your community. You're not talking to...
There are actually lawsuits that are actively in litigation with the town, which we need to also protect the town. So that's why the attorney
So
is
we don't
here.
lose more of our tax dollars. It's wonderful. You guys have really done a great job. I have to say, I'm super proud of you as a taxpayer for 24 years. It's just, it's heartbreaking, man. You're killing our town. It's true.
Hi, my name is Josephine Kurdahi, I live at 53C Conch Street. I just want to set it straight that I'm not here in the capacity for the Board of Health or the zoning board that I'm on. This is just me coming here as a resident, okay? I think that we have to really look at negotiations. Justin worked for the town of Norfolk from 2022 to 2025, and during this time, he had, just from 2022 to 2023, he had 137% increase in pay. He started off at $62,000, and then in 2023 it was $147,000. That's a 37% increase. These are all public record. 2024 he went from $147,000 to $180,000. That's an increase of 22%. And then 2025 we need another public request for that. My husband is a top engineer for Mass General. He's a lead environmental engineer. He He designs all the heating and cooling systems for the roof. I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm an advanced practice registered nurse. How can we just hire somebody and give them all this money?
Those are incorrect figures. He was not hired for $62,000.
Nobody.
Okay, this is what I got from the state website.
No.
It's probably a partial
He
year.
didn't work a whole year. The first year, he didn't start on January 1st.
Okay, what was the starting pay, do you know? No.
It says it's $88 an hour.
Okay, so my whole point is, we have to negotiate like you're paying this bill. We're paying this bill, you have control of the money, and then that's what you have to think about us when we pay the bills. We have to negotiate effectively on your behalf and our behalf. I just want to make it clear, it's not good negotiations. Even if half of this was true, even if it was a 20% increase, it's a lot of money.
There was no 20% increase in 1 year.
How much did he get paid? Can anyone say how much he get paid?
He was getting $88, it says on the OIG.
Okay. We can't get into discussion.
Okay, just negotiate for us, okay? We can negotiate on behalf of ourselves, depending on you.
Yes.
We do.
I also just want to add that when we hire, everything is public. So when we interview candidates, it is public. We do it during the select board meeting when we make an offer. So it's not like we're doing it, I just want to put that out there. It's not behind closed doors. It is in a public setting where everyone is aware of, who we're hiring, their resumes are made public, and what we're paying them is also. So I just wanted to say
So
that.
there's one data point I'm sure of, and that's when Justin left in June of 2025, I think it was?
Yes.
For those 6 months, he was making $99,000. That's equivalent to $200,000 a year you were paying him. That's a fact. I got that through a FOIA request. Now, when I was, growing up and I had jobs, they'd say to me, "How much are you making?" Well, I'd tell them, and they'd say, "Yeah, okay, all right, we trust you. Can we see a recent pay stub?" You can't do that anymore. Or they'd say, "You got some references? Like your boss, a coworker, and a subordinate?" I said, "Yeah, sure, here are the names, go call them." Can't do that anymore today. The employer can only say he worked here from this point to that point in time. We can't say anything else because they're afraid of getting sued by lawyers too. So you have a really difficult time trying to get somebody and find out what you got. And when I hired somebody, it was a dart throw. And you didn't know until 6 months or a year later what you had. But in the meantime, you've trained him for 6 months to a year. You put all this effort into him, you spent the company's money, you've trained him and everything, and then they may work out and they may not work out. So you got to be very careful today when you hire somebody because you don't know anything. And Bridgewater is a fine example of that. He told them he was making $218,000, and they said, "Okay, we'll give you $220,000. Okay? How do you know? You don't know what you're getting. And did Justin do the same kind of thing before he came to us? I don't know. But he did it. It looks like he was doing it on his way to Bridgewater, too. So I guess my point is, you're going down a slippery slope. It's very difficult to find a person, and you can negotiate, but you don't really know what you're negotiating. And that's a problem.
Teresa Fernald, 75 Fruit Street. This is a very dark time for our town. There have been citizens in Norfolk that have been trying to ask questions and raise concerns about different things for well over a year. We were met with, we were blown off. We were met with snide comments and remarks. I stopped going to select board meetings, zoning meetings, and planning meetings because frankly, it doesn't make a difference what you do anymore. You ask a question, you're told you can't answer it. You raise genuine concerns, you're told that, it's a mistake, it's in the past, don't try to bring this up. But there were legitimate concerns regarding the solar and battery project, both at the town meeting where we voted for it, all the way through to the signing of the solar agreement, all the way through to zoning and planning issues with it. The OIG has stated that we should renegotiate this. I just don't understand how, as a citizen of the town of Norfolk, our select board at the time, when this was, going through town meeting, being negotiated, signing contracts, I just don't understand how we wouldn't want to put forth the very best for our town. We all live in it. I take absolutely zero joy in standing up here and saying this, because I would love for our town to be the absolute best place that you can live, where, the average person just wants to go to work, come home, go to the park with your kids, maybe go out to dinner. I don't want to be standing in meetings talking about the last year and a half, standing in front of meetings and getting absolutely nowhere, and then having OIG reports come out. I'm not going to read what was in it. We all know what was in it. We know that there was a lack of leadership, that there was a complete failure of leadership, both in maybe hiring, negotiations. We know for the solar and battery project. We know that everyone knew what was going on in town. Everyone knew for years what was going on in town. We all knew. This doesn't apply to our new town administrator. It doesn't apply to our new chief. It doesn't apply to our new select board members, or select board members who had only been here for a month or two. But if I was on the select board all throughout those years, and if I was on, say, an advisory committee, and I signed those contracts, I would step back and I would resign for the town of Norfolk, because the citizens have lost trust in the processes that go on. I don't think that we can move forward with the same people doing the same things, not counting those who are new. And I know that we have a lawyer here, but our lawyer does not represent the citizens of Norfolk. The lawyer represents the select board and the best interests of our select board. I think it's time we have someone who represents us. So I would ask for your resignation, Anita, and I would ask for Kevin Calcutt's resignation off of the advisory board, because I don't think the best interests of Norfolk are being met.
I will also just respond to that, because we are a board and we work together. And, in working with this board, I've worked with Anita, and I can say she has the best interests, as well as Kevin, of the town in mind. There was recently an election, and residents were aware and voted Anita in. So if she wants to resign, that's her personal decision. But to say that she's here because, just sitting here, people voted for her to be here. So all I can tell you is my experience, and my experience has been she has the best interests of the town in mind. Mistakes have been made. We are rectifying those issues as a board. So I'm not here to throw any of my board members under the bus. I was not here when those things happened, but we are a board together now. So I just want to say that. And again, whatever decisions they decide to make are their personal decisions, but people did vote for her to be in this seat.
Good evening. My name is Michael Raymond. I live at 11 Applewood Road. I can't take the claim, like I've heard several people that have lived in this town for 20 years. I've only lived here for 7 years. I escaped Boston. My spouse and I moved here. I joined the Army 5 weeks out of high school, lived in Miami, Florida, not a fun city. Lived in Cleveland, Ohio, not a fun city. Lived in Boston, not a fun city. And I'm very happy to be here. This is a wonderful town. And I got to know you, Mr. Rob, when I met you at the MMA conference in January, and I've gotten to work with Carol, and I would say I'm very honored. I work as a veterans agent. I will not name the town, but in an adjacent town in another county. And I work with your veterans agent, Bill Conklin, who does a great job. I'm just very bothered to see, when we first bought our home, our taxes were over $12,000 a year, 3 times what we paid in Boston. But you get what you pay for, and we swallowed that pill. Like, this is our homeowners association fee to live in this town and get that out of Boston. Our taxes are now over $17,000 a year. They've gone up $6,500 in 6 years living here. You're pricing myself, a disabled veteran, our seniors, our disabled, and other people out of this town. When we bought our house, we looked for 3.5 years everywhere down in this region to find a home. 3.5 years, we found this place. We said, this is where, did I not say, I want to die in this town? I may not take the claim to born here like some of you, and thank you, but I plan to die in this town someday. And what bothers me, and I'll put it simply put, it seems like, I don't know if we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, but when we buy everything, everything's a Mercedes and a Rolex. Why can't we get a Toyota or a Timex now and then? That's all I'm saying. I'm not asking for a lot. I drive a Toyota. I think it's a pretty good car. I just want to say, and I'm not getting the nitty-gritty because I'm not here to tell you how to do things, but I can tell you over in my town, do you guys use Munis? So our town had a similar issue with timesheets several years ago, and the Munis timesheet system is awesome because I have to do my timesheet. My supervisor has to review that, approve, deny, correct, fix this, Mike. Then it goes to my town manager we have there, who has to review and approve it. So I highly recommend if you would consider that program because you're having at least 3 sets of eyes from the individual submitting it, going up the chain, following the chain of command like we like in the military to make sure we're doing it right. And
no, Michael, I appreciate that. The Munis, we've looked into Munis timesheets, I believe, and there was an integration cost which was rather large.
Okay.
The firm we looked at last week will provide similar functionality.
Okay.
So, and you can build rules.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to micromanage you. That's your job, not mine. But I just want to throw that out there. I know what you all use, and I appreciate Carol. I appreciate you.
Because
and I appreciate Bill.
This town, we don't do a lot of Rolexes. I mean, so part of the DPW issue was the tub grinder was voted on at town meeting because Blair came to the town meeting and said, I can buy this tub grinder for 80 grand and I can save us over 5 years 150 grand. And because we have to have to create the wood chips, we have someone come in every year, it costs $25,000 to $30,000 to do it. So, and town meeting accepted that, said, yeah, that makes sense. If you can spend 80 and save 150, that makes sense. And the strength of Norfolk's DPW in the 6-7 months I've been here has been to MacGyver things. They are amazing at coming up with the $8,000 solution to solve the $25,000 problem. And in that case, the tub grinder case, it didn't work out right, and they didn't procure it right. And I got to tell you, as someone who's taken the MCPPO classes, I can't tell you how to procure properly on an auction. You have to take a separate class to learn how to do that. It's very complicated. So part of the strength of the community is this sort of, we're just going to get this done as best as we can, and that led to, in this case, a problem that brought the Inspector General's attention on us. So I respect what you said, Michael, but it is...
And I just ask that going forward as a board, and we as taxpayers, make sure we go to town meetings and vote for these budgets and go line item by line item, because I can tell you, after 7 years, I'm starting to get priced out of this town, and I was hoping to retire in 5 years, and I'm like, I got to push that a couple years back if I want to afford the taxes to live here. And I don't know. We have to fix this.
All I can say is the board does not set what gets spent for the annual budget. It gets set at the town meeting. All the voters vote on it. I have a problem with the taxes myself. They're going up and up and up.
Yeah.
But all the voters vote for it. We got the new fire station, that can vote on, the police station, the school, and all these large expenses are what is causing up. All the voters vote for it. I realize everyone has a problem with the taxes going up, but you guys vote on it. We don't have a say on it.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Rob.
Well, not enough, though.
Kevin, they voted the last override down, and I heard that they want to do another override to see if we can change that. So it's, I mean, people vote things down too.
Can't hear you.
They'll vote it down again and again too, if they have to.
Karen Zabrowski, 89 Boardman Street. Now, my question is, aren't all municipalities or state employees mandated to do the ethics training?
Yes.
So is Norfolk doing it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then the Munis that gentleman mentioned, did I not hear it? You don't have that software?
Oh, no, we do it for, yes, we have Munis is accounting. I'm looking at the finance director, he's shaking his head, yes.
And payroll is included in that?
There's an optionality for payroll, which we don't have. from what I understand, and I could be wrong, we all make mistakes, it's very expensive to migrate to that system. We will have a timekeeping system in place before the end of this year.
So you have different quotes on the price when you say expense?
Yes. We've looked at one firm, and under 30B, actually, they're in the good business practices, sound business practices category.
Because it has like a transparency to it, because if I'm doing payroll for, one of the departments, my boss has to look it over and then give it to town hall and so forth and so forth. And then that's where things get caught.
Yeah.
Like, what is this, question mark? So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question that maybe you could comment on. Can you comment about when we find wrongdoing, such as we've found over the past 3 years, whether it's the DPW or Justin or the police, how do you come to a conclusion on whether to prosecute somebody or give them a pass and say you can resign? Because I know if I did some of this stuff, I'd be behind bars right now. And how do you come to the realization that we ought to prosecute, or we should give them two doors, door number one or door number two? Door number one means you get prosecuted, door number two means you walk away with resignation. You get to put that on your resume so you can tell people in the next job that you resigned. Norfolk was a terrible town to work for. They're a bunch of jerks, and that's why I resigned, as opposed to saying I got fired. Can you comment on that?
Rob?
So, Tom? Sure.
So thank you for the question. So the town doesn't have the authority to prosecute anyone. We can go after people civilly, but we cannot go after them criminally. The district attorney or the attorney general have the right to go after them criminally.
You can refer them to the DA. You can refer them to the AG. Have you thought about that? Have you done that? Does that figure into your analysis? Consulting with the DA and say, we got a case here, we can prosecute this person and get a conviction. Because in the case of police or any public servant, if you are convicted of a felony in the line of duty, you don't get to collect your pension. That's state law, right?
I believe that's correct.
Right. So are we saying, no, we really don't want to kill this guy's pension, this lady's pension, so we're going to let him resign? Nobody gets, it's accountability. We've been talking about accountability. Where is the accountability?
The activity was reported to POST, the Peace Officer Standards Training Group. And
this is just Massachusetts, right, Ron? It's just Massachusetts. If they moved to Nevada, is Nevada police going to check the post in Massachusetts?
So, Jack, we had this conversation last week, I believe, in my office. And charging decisions, I'm just speaking personally now, as a resident. I don't want charging decisions made in public and by political bodies. Charging decisions aren't, charging criminal charges is a police activity that is appropriate for the police.
Or the AG.
Or the DA or the AG.
So we don't have to make charging decisions, but we can refer charging decisions to the DA, the Norfolk County DA or the AG, right?
There are many.
No, we haven't. I don't think we've done that.
So, again,
So we received the IG report. CC'd on that report was the Attorney General, the Governor, the Inspector General. It is important to note that the findings in that report, there was no mention of any criminality in there. And it's not as you heard, we cannot make that referral. So whatever was found in the report, we are pursuing from a civil perspective, and that's what we are doing. As far as any criminal activity, to our knowledge, no one has been implicated in any criminal activity. You all have the report, you can read it for yourselves, but it's not our determination to make.
A previous speaker mentioned that she stopped attending certain meetings because she felt her presence at those meetings was ineffective, and that she was rebuffed when she tried to raise issues. I have a suggestion to the Select Board. The suggestion is that you consider a process such as participatory democracy, where people not only come to meetings to be heard the way I'm being heard here, but actually there's a mechanism by which they can participate in town decision-making. This is being done successfully in other jurisdictions, and I'd like the Select Board to consider doing that to get citizens more involved in the process, more knowledgeable about how things work, more knowledgeable about what the problems and restrictions are, and also to provide the benefit of knowledge that they may have. I'm in favor of more citizen involvement, and participatory democracy is more than just attending meetings and listening and getting up to a microphone. It's participating and making decisions. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, David.
Yes, hi. Anton Pritchard of 52 Needham Street. I want to comment on what the other gentleman was talking about with his increasing taxes, and the issue eventually led forward to the question of, well, the people vote on everything, the expenditures. And yes, it is true that we vote on the expenditures. However, there's an important caveat, which is why it is that we rely so heavily upon your protecting us, if you will. A project can be put forward in many different forms and denied by the voters many times, but if it's just passed once, then it goes forward. That creates a situation where it's tremendously difficult if we don't have your support to recognize, yes, we need to pull in the reins. And we understand it's going to be difficult. It's easier to run a town when you have a larger budget. I get that, okay? But at the same time, it is becoming more difficult for people to be able to afford. As the gentleman said, he hopes to, I don't like to say die, but, live out the rest of his days in this town, okay? And this becomes worrisome and a larger issue for people who are growing older. They're moving on to fixed incomes. And yes, we can step forward and say, we don't think this is a good idea when we vote it down. But then if it comes back and it's repackaged, 6 months later, okay, all it has to do is be passed once. That's why we need you out there to recognize, okay, this is pushing the boundaries beyond what, the people can really afford. And I thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Bowman, and I live on Lakeshore Drive here in Norfolk. My husband and I have called Norfolk home since August of 2019. We were drawn to the town because of its natural beauty, the friendliness of its people, access to the commuter rail, and the benefit of having Populatic Pond in our backyard. Since moving here, we've enjoyed 7 years of sunset over the pond. We've survived the pandemic. We found community, and we've made lasting friendships. We consider ourselves blessed to call Norfolk home. And because of that, we're deeply invested in our town. We're deeply protective over our community. When I read the Inspector General's report a couple weeks ago, my first response was immense sadness. Sadness for our town. Like many residents, who roughly about 100 here, we work hard for our money. And the money that we make contributes through taxes to the town's operating budget. In return, we expect our town officials to thoughtfully, responsibly, and transparently manage those taxpayer dollars. Unfortunately, that doesn't appear to be the case from what sat in the Inspector General's report. The report identified significant shortcomings in oversight and accountability that allowed resources to be used for personal benefit. I find this deeply disappointing. But rather than becoming angry, I ask myself the question, how can something good come of this? How can we use what we've learned to build a stronger town government and ensure the people's are treated with the care and the respect that they deserve. To begin to address this issue, I would ask this board to establish a citizens committee to work in partnership with the select board and the town administrator. The charge of this committee would be simple: review and identify the underlying operational and oversight issues highlighted in the report. Identify gaps in existing policies, procedures, internal controls, and accountability. Recommend specific operational controls and safeguards to prevent similar issues from occurring in the future. Establish clear expectations for oversight, documentation, transparency, and accountability in use of the people's money. Provide recommendations to the select board and the town administrator for implementation and ongoing review. I make these recommendations based on working as an HR executive for over 30 years. I've gone into organizations, diagnosed organizational problems, designed and built out processes, and supported organizations that build trusting relationships, both internally and externally. That's what needs to be done here in Norfolk. I believe involving the residents in this process would send a very clear message that Norfolk is taking the Inspector General's findings seriously, values transparency, and is committed to earning back the trust of the town's taxpayers. We can't change what's already happened, but we can decide what happens next. I love this town, and as this gentleman over here said, my husband has also said he wants to be planted here. Okay. I want to see your town stronger. I want to see more accountability than before. And I believe a citizens committee working collaboratively with our town leadership could be an important first step in making that happen. Thank you.
I just want to respond to that because I've been a select board member now for 2 budget cycles, and what I will say, and I'm not making excuses, there was a lack of oversight, policies and procedures need to be tightened up, but since I've been here, I've seen in our last 2 budget cycles us continue to cut to the detriment, I feel, of the town. For instance, we do not have an HR person. A lot of these issues in the report are HR-related issues. We decided not to fill that position in order to save the town money. We did not for some time have an assistant town administrator, which helps with things like grant writing, which helps with things like updating policies and procedures. So all that to say, we're trying to be fiscally responsible, but I feel that some of the cuts that we have made are to the detriment of the town. So I agree, during budget cycle, we need to be more, open, clear-eyed about the cuts that we're making and the impact that they're having on the town. Again, not making excuses. We need an updated time tracking system. And to be honest, I was not aware that we did not have one. I'm not in the town hall 24/7 to know that people aren't actually logging a timesheet in a digital system. So I will take responsibility for that. But that has been the way things have always been. The same policy that was in place when Anita, was here in 2023 is the same one we have now. So I could very well be sitting in that seat and being blamed for this, which is why we as a board, we're a team. We're taking responsibility. We are addressing the concerns. Mistakes were made. But again, As a town, we need to involve the town more in the actual budget process and what the impacts of these cuts are having on our town our functioning government. So anyway, just want to acknowledge that. We need to do better. We need to come up to the, 21st century, if you will, and we are doing our best right now.
But I would just like to say, too, in the interest of encouraging participation of our committee, not so long ago, right here in this room, we had a budget meeting. We invited the whole town to come in. We brought in all the department heads. We opened it up for questions. We asked the town to be here. Last year, we ran a Norfolk Citizens Academy where we invited people from our community to come in and learn about what do your tax money, what does it pay for anyway? Like, what does the tax assessor do? How does this work? And we ran a series of workshops, which we had an academy of people attending, but we also videotaped, so people who couldn't be there or who wanted to learn more about their town or what their taxpayers would do. I had one person say to me, town meeting happens really fast and decisions happen very quickly. I'd like a pre-town meeting. We've held 3, 4 pre-town meetings, just saying we're bringing in our department heads, come and ask us questions about the budget. Talk to us about the budget. What's going on here? And people don't come. And so then I'm embarrassed because now I've wasted the time of our department heads. We're trying to make it accessible to our community. We have done pre-town meetings, we've done town halls. We've done town halls to have questions about specific activities in an effort to be transparent. I see you here, and I see that you want to have more transparency, and I think that that's fabulous. I have been 100% about let's share with our community and do this work together. You are the legislative body. We live in Norfolk too. We pay taxes too. Like, these decisions affect us as much as other people. So I think we are committed. I personally have worked really hard to be transparent with our community about the things that have been happening. There aren't people at our meetings. Perhaps you're watching online because you have busy lives. I'm sure you have very busy lives. We're there, and we're doing the meetings and doing our very best. If you watch, I think you'll see that we're unpacking, asking questions. We're prepared for those meetings. None of us are paid. I'm here. I met with Justin every single week. Like, we met, we talked, we were doing the work of the town together, and still things happened that I was unaware of. But that doesn't mean there isn't passion for this community. There isn't a commitment to doing, to doing the best that we very can. I love this town. I am not a perfect person. I'm a volunteer. I've been in public service for Norfolk since 2002. I've done public service for this community. So I'm not perfect. We're doing our best. I'm proud of so many of the things that we have done for our community, and we're getting better. This report will help us get better again. It gives us very specific directions, but we're going to go beyond the report, hire an outside auditor, because we already have an auditor. We have an auditor who comes in every year and looks at our work and gives us a report. But we're going to go beyond that, have an outside auditor come in and say, what can we do better? We are committed to recovering funds. We are committed to learning and growing and doing better. Thank you. Glenn.
Thank you. The board should know that the prior speaker and I did not consult before tonight's meeting, but yet this board has heard the exact same recommendation from 2 of us, both over 30-year professionals in our fields. The board should hear that, and the board should act on it.
I think at the next select board meeting, we'll put it on the agenda and we'll discuss it. If you 2 are interested, come to the meeting and you can be hear the discussion and the citizens' participation. We'll discuss at the next board meeting.
I'll be there.
Thank you, Glenn.
You bet.
Hi, I just have a question to help me understand the timeline just a little bit. You mentioned that we do not have a human resources director.
That's correct.
Yes, can you tell me when we lost the human resources director?
I don't think we've had one since I've been in office.
June of 25, I believe.
Yeah. So I was here for 1 month.
June of 25 is when we lost it. And
it didn't get put back in the budget.
And the question of the town administrator, previous town administrator, and his possible incorrect actions with funds took place. When did he take office?
He didn't do incorrect action with funds.
Possible, I said. There is a controversy.
There were discrepancies on his timesheet.
However you wish to characterize it.
He left in June of 2025.
He left in June. And when did he begin working?
2022.
2022. So during that time period, did we have an HR director?
Yes.
For some of the time.
For some of the time.
All right. So at least in this particular case, the loss of the HR director was not the root cause of our problem then?
Correct.
Thank you.
I don't know that I would say that. That's your opinion. But I don't know that I would say that.
Good evening. Tim Martin, 40 Turner Street. It sounds like we have a few different matters going on here tonight, if I'm not incorrect. There's 2 or 3 people being investigated, that's my understanding. And it sounds like through the IG's office there's some sort of negotiation going on, possibly to settle some of these matters. If I'm incorrect, just correct me.
I don't know that there's a negotiation. All we know, I can speak to specifics which will be made public following this meeting, that Mr. Casanova sent us a letter, the town, which details that he disagrees with some of the findings in the report and that he's willing to reimburse the town.
So it sounds like some sort of offer of settlement. I'm sure he would ask that he be released upon making some payment if you agree to that. The reason I bring it up that way is I want to continue on with what Mr. Nolan said. I don't know how you can entertain it, but I don't know how you would agree to it without completing the audit. We have town council here. I have no problem with town council here. I think for a lot of reasons it's important to have on some matters, but there's a cost to that. There's a cost to all of this. I want to remind you, these are your victims. They're all here. They're on TV. These are your victims. Your victims also. So when you get these letters, even though the IG says something, they're not the victims, okay?
Agreed.
These folks are. These are your residents, your neighbors. Remember these people. If you need help, they'll help you. Mr. Nolan will help you. I just volunteered it. But you get so many talented, concerned people here. I'm not sure it's a budgeting issue. I think there's other issues, but what I want to make you be aware of is that these are your victims. When you go to bat for them. Don't go to bat just to settle it, put it under the rug. If you're afraid to bring a criminal complaint, but you think there should be, raise your hand. We'll help you with it. If you think there's been a crime, raise your hand. Let people know. We can't read your mind, okay? We don't know what's going on all the time. We'll try to stay more involved. We're here to help. We're the victims too. So let's get this done right. Let's get reimbursed everything, not just some cost, the real cost. And the real cost is the amount that we lost if this hadn't happened. What's the true cost of all this? I don't know, but you should start working on that. It's not a couple $1,000s, it's a lot more than that. We have attorneys in the room. I'm sure there's been a lot of work going on with this. I'm sure there could be overtime for employees, I don't know. But in any event, keep that in mind. Remember your victims, they're all here tonight. They're just like you, they have to go to work tomorrow, they're giving up their time. It's not pleasant for anybody else, but we're here to help, okay? It's not perfect, but don't back down on this fight. Don't back down, don't just roll over on it. Just know you have the support of all these victims. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we agree with you, and we're not sweeping it under the rug. One of the reasons why we want to get the outside audit is so that we can understand everything that has occurred and what we need to do to move forward. So that was not something that was recommended. We as a board decided that that's the correct action to take, an unbiased audit to take a look internally at the policies and procedures of the town. So again, you will all have the letter from Justin as of tomorrow. You can judge for yourselves his words. We're just reporting to you what was communicated to us. We are in negotiations with no one at this point. We are responding to the letter that was presented to us and the action items that we are expected to take.
And just to add to that, we have put in some intermittent, some short-term policies to cover us, because to the gentleman's point, the audit will take some time. So we've put some short-term policies in place. Some of the fixes were already in place before the report, because we knew we had procurement problems, but we'll do short-term, intermittent things until we have a report from our auditor, which will take a little bit of time. Thank you.
Hi, Jonathan Smith, 26 Robin Road. I was on the select board way back in 2005 to 2008. And one thing you learn is democracy is hard. It's not easy. It's not easy for a select board member, and it's not easy for people either. You have to be involved, whether you want to or not. You can't always say, I'm going to go to work today and not really care about what's going on otherwise. We only have 110 people show up at town meeting out of 7,500 registered voters. That's part of the problem right there. Another part of the problem is, when I was on the select board, our meetings ran 2 or 3 hours every time we had a meeting. And we did go into details on a lot of things. And maybe we avoided some of the issues that we have now. Some of your meetings have been very short, an hour or less during this time. And I think that's a problem that people here understand as being part of the transparency issue. That things were going on, and yet select board meetings were going on sort of just as usual, not really going into depth into matters. I realize the open meeting law is part of the problem, why people can't say stuff at your meetings on an issue, that it's only public comment period like we're having tonight. But democracy is hard. You have to give up that Little League game when town meeting happens and stuff the audience, stuff that room at the junior high. 40 years ago when I moved here, we would have a town meeting that would go 6 nights, 90 warrant articles that covered all kinds of things, but people were involved. We even spent an hour arguing about whether or not Town Hall could afford a $1,000 copy machine. And now we're talking about other things that we really, maybe we can't be that specific now, but we've got to all be involved in this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Just one last thing I have for everybody here. Some of you are aware of it, some of you are not. When Blair Crean was working for Norfolk, I don't know if people knew that he was working in Foxborough at the same time. I did mention it to Kevin and Justin. So maybe you want to look at his time slips in Foxborough, or get them so he can get the money back that he wasted while he was working in Foxborough versus in Norfolk. And he would use the Norfolk car over there. I do have some pictures somewhere of him in Foxborough on a Friday. And his timesheets were checked, and he was on both towns at the same time.
Hi, Manny Sequeira from Kingsbury Road. If we do revisit the human resource person, if we deemed that it's necessary, and you guys are smart people, but is it possible we can pool those resources with an adjacent town, like we do for the school system or the police dispatch? Okay, thank you. And the taxes are a recurring theme. You know, I understand there's a budget, there's a town meeting process. Sometimes that process feels like not your fault necessarily, I'm not trying to pin that, but it feels like we get steamrolled sometimes at town meeting, maybe from the majority. So whether it's town bylaw or state law, maybe some of that shouldn't be simple majority, 51 versus 49, for example. Maybe something should be a 60% vote and that kind of thing. I understand there's also something called a clicker that you can use at town meeting that makes it more of an anonymous vote. I don't know what the expenses are associated with something like that, but then we might have real votes as opposed to just the loud people speaking in the room, for example. So something to consider. And maybe we can get some things under control that way. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Raymond again, and he just made a very good point, and I'm going to go ahead and out myself. I work for the town of Mansfield, and our town clerk does a great job, and I actually spoke to her one time about it. I'll tell you what we do over at Mansfield. I know people say, oh, I don't care about Mansfield. Well, when we have our town meeting, not only do you have to check in, we have town residents have a random color that she picks wristband put on, like when you go to a Red Sox game or Xfinity Center to see you're allowed to drink. And then she also hands out random index cards. Index cards are pretty cheap. We're talking $15 if 500 people show up. And the residents only are given this card because we all know how we can get heated and loud. So when it's a yay, nay, and a town moderator, whether they're doing their job truthfully or not, 5 people can be louder than 20 people sometimes. So we make, in town of Mansfield, we hold up a card, and it's a random color so people can't save the card from the last meeting. I highly recommend we do this going forward, especially for things like voting for fire departments and other things that cost millions of dollars, 30 million, whatever it was. When we hold up that card, we have the moderator look, and we have tally people, especially when it's close, because you can have a lot of people saying, oh yeah, that was clearly a yes, when it was probably a no, just because some people can be a lot louder than others. And I'm talking, you know what, I'll personally donate you those colored index cards to Carol. They're not that expensive at Staples right now, they're in clearance, okay? So I highly recommend, for true accountability of how many people does a town vote, voice vote is not accurate by any means. And you all know that. I hope you do. Do you all know that?
Yes.
So there's one way going forward at town meetings we could get a true representation. Because I can tell you in Boston at meetings, let's say if it was, and my dad was a school teacher for 33 years, so don't jump down my throat, but I'm saying if we were voting on something for teachers, well, I can tell you from my dad's union in Miami-Dade County, they would have teachers from other school districts come in that night and yell as loud as they could, and that passed. So we could prevent little errors here and there by getting true accuracy, and index cards are very cheap. Thank you.
I actually have a whole ton of index cards. I actually have a whole ton of index cards because we used to do that at town meeting. I had blue.
Random different colors.
I did, and I used to do that at town meeting, and then I was asked not to do it anymore by the moderator. The moderator runs town meeting. And that's why it's not done anymore.
I just have a few questions. Who are you?
Your name?
Peter Schwalbe, Brett's Farm Road, Norfolk. The tub grinder, is it correct that we bought it for $50,554?
I believe the price was less than that. I think it was 35.
All right.
37.
Okay, and then was it ever operational? No.
It moved.
Okay.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
So is it accurate that the report says that the tub grinder was a waste of $81,000 approximately? Okay. Is it something you're doing as part of the audit in pursuit of recompense?
So, the tub grinders, as we said, town meeting voted to make that purchase. Correct. That was a decision the town made based on the input of the DPW chief. It was a failure.
Okay.
I don't know that you can try and seek reimbursement for that from the DPW chief. We would be auctioning. My plan is to auction off the tub grinder as it has actually valuable parts on it, so we can recover some of the funds that we spent.
Okay. All right. So I've got $50K to buy it, 30 to try to get it operational, $81K in the hole, $22,400 in 2025 to go outside for tub grinding services. So all of that together. We have the vacation payout for the 60 hours. Were the rest of the hours verified, or is that part of the audit?
So that's why I'm meeting with the Inspector General's office.
Okay.
I'd like to see what they saw.
Okay. And then clothing was about $2,800? Okay. Dumpsters and disposal services, a couple thousand. Tree disposal, another couple thousand. And then, yeah, so I'm calculating about 90,000 in potential loss that we'd be seeking back.
I don't see that math.
You don't see that?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Any other comments? Okay, if there's no other comments, we're going to hold a brief recess before we continue on with the scheduled items we had on the agenda. So anyone that wants to leave can. Anyone that wants to stay for the select board meeting is more than welcome to.
It's on the record. So, yeah, I'm only going to heard the story.
But I do want to know about, like, how that, not about there, but, there's a guy that I met with, to try to prevent coalition, but there's more like motivational speaking, and probably not going to get more of that, but like, I just have, I was shop and ask you about that. Thank you for the
Andrew says we're up. Thumbs up.
We're going to open the application window for opioid abatement funds.
What number is that?
So this is number 5.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, from time, as you know, Norfolk receives opioid abatement funds from various cases, and from time to time, the board, as the funds grow in size, opens an application window for grant requests. We have approximately $60,000 available for grant. It would have to go to town meeting. That money would have to be moved at town meeting into a separate account to be expended by the board through grants. So we would need an application period first. Staff is recommending from September 1st through October 31st.
Okay. Is that, we need to vote on that? Or?
I think opening up and spending those funds is a great idea. We've always put them to good use in our community, so I think that's a great idea. The application window seems really appropriate. It gives organizations time to get their needs to us. Is there an application that is available online, or how do they?
On the pass, yes, we put it up.
Okay, there's an application that they do that. I think that seems like a great idea. Yes. Awesome. I move that the board vote to open the application window for requests for opioid abatement funds. The application will open from September 1st, 2026 through October 31st, 2026.
I'll second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay.
The Garden Club is asking for permission to use Town Hill on September 15th from 6 to 7:30 for the Celebration of Gardens tour of Town Hill. The event is open to the public, no cost. There will be refreshments served at the end of it. They'll be showcasing the rather impressive gardens on Town Hill and talk about the history, also about what the Garden Club does, and install the Mary's Rose Garden sign in the Rose Garden on Town Hill.
Okay, I'm sure there's no safety concerns with that, so.
Absolutely. I just want to, I know you. I love the garden club. Like I just went into town hall this evening. You go in, there's these 2 beautiful planters. They're just stunning. And that's something that the town has at no cost because of our amazing garden club. So I think I would love to support the garden club and their efforts, and they do a really nice job for us.
Okay, you can make the motion to approve it then.
Awesome. I move that the board vote to approve the use of Town Hill for the Garden Club celebration of the gardens on September 15, 2026 from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. with a setup beginning at 5 p.m. and breaking down ending at 9 p.m. and a rain date of September 17, 2026 for the same times.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Bike to the Beach has done a road race, or a road tour from Boston down through to Rhode Island, down to the ocean, for 13 years now, I believe, or this is at least the 13th year it'll be coming through Norfolk. They've asked for permission to do a road event on September 19th from approximately 6:30 to 9. They think most of the folks will come through around 7 in the morning. The event would start, the riders would be coming through from Medfield on Seekonk Street, then take Cleveland, Turner, Dean Street by the Norfolk Arena, Myrtle, and then Miller Street into Franklin. They will be avoiding the Park Street Bridge.
Okay.
Excellent. Is public safety approved?
Yes.
Public safety
Public safety is approved.
Yeah, I think it's a great event. I know some residents that bike this race, so support.
Would you like to make the motion?
I move that the board vote to approve the road event for the Bike to the Beach for Autism on September 19th, 2026 from 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is a request for a water abatement. A resident on Old Mill has unfortunately had a rather large water bill due to, I believe, a underground leak in front of their house. The usage was totaled up at $1,800. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. $1,850.42. It was connected to an irrigation system. The process on abatements is that the DPW director is the first first line, the DPW director has denied the abatement as it wasn't due to an error, it was due to use, actual use. It should be further noted that irrigation systems are not allowed to be hooked up to town water supplies in Norfolk.
Is it no longer hitched up to the town water?
I do not believe it has been disconnected.
Is there a way that to be enforced? If it's not allowed to be connected, it shouldn't be connected.
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
With our full powers.
That's something we can look into, but at this time, I don't feel an abatement should be involved if it's tied into an illegal, a sprinkler system that's not allowed.
Yes, I agree. I mean, the person says that they recently bought the house, they weren't aware it was there, but again, it's a leak. It's not supposed to be there, and
I would think they would have known that the town water was hitched up to the sprinkler system.
I don't know. I'm just going based off of the letter that they wrote, but
I think they're new, someone new.
Because in the past, when people have had a leak, what we have done is we have charged them for the extra water, but at the lower rate, not at the higher rate. But in this system, in this circumstance, because it's due to a illegal, for lack of a better word, I'm inclined to also not approve the abatement.
and they've been here for 3 years, so have they been using the irrigation the whole time?
It's not a new resident, right? It's a person that owned the home.
Well, they've been here for several
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we should probably issue them a letter so that they're
I'll check
aware.
in with the DPW on the normal process.
Thank you. Do you
Okay.
need a motion from us?
Motion to deny the request? Or is it just a discussion?
I think we need to move, I move that the board vote to deny an appeal of a water abatement in the amount of $1,850.42 for 21 Old Mill Road.
A second. All in favor? Aye.
We could maybe work with them to give them a payment window that's not due in a lump sum because it was an unexpected expense, but, pay it over 3 months instead of 1.
I'll work with the DPW on that.
Thank you.
It's time to open the warrant for the November special town meeting. Special town meeting is scheduled for the 10th this year, Tuesday the 10th. We have to open the warrant and then close it, and we can do both in the same motion. We've talked about the deadlines, and staff feels comfortable setting a closing date for the warrant on September 25th. So we would open it tonight. It would close on the 25th. That would give not a lot of time for everyone to do work on warrant articles, but given the constraints we're under with the printers is requiring more and more time to print the warrants before we have to mail it out. They're asking a month now, essentially. So the calendar is what it is. So.
Is that affect advisory too, that printer?
Yeah, yes.
Wow.
The advisory board will have to
A month?
move quicker too.
Okay, I'm comfortable opening it. Do you have any?
Okay.
So September 25th is what you said?
For the close, yep.
Okay. Yep.
Do you want me to combine those two motions? The motion to hold the town meeting and then also to open the warrant?
You can do two motions.
All right, I move that the board vote to hold the November special town meeting at King Philip Middle School on November 10th, 2026, commencing at 7 o'clock.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. And then I'll keep going. I move that the board vote to open a warrant for a special town meeting to be held on November 10th, 2026, and close the warrant for the special town meeting on September 25th, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So I would just note that it is not state law that you have to mail a warrant to each household in town. We have done this, it's been our practice here in Norfolk to do that. It was talked about several years ago to stop doing that, primarily for fiscal concerns. Certain members, certain people at this table voted no on that at the advisory board.
People who might be in more of a leadership position in the town.
Where you stand depends upon where you sit sometimes. And it might be something to talk about fall town meeting, where we're not doing a budget at fall town meeting. Perhaps for efficiency's sake, we go to a system where you have an X number of warrants available at various locations in town, and you mail everyone a postcard with a QR code where they can, or a website.
Because that would be cheaper for mailing.
It would be cheaper. It would also provide advisory with more time.
Yeah. Right. I just think, especially for our seniors, at the senior center, we would need a nice big stack of warrants, because that's how they get their information for sure. And then maybe we can do a session on how to use a QR code so they can see the most up-to-date information.
Do that too. But it's not something, that we're at for this town meeting, but just putting a bug out there. So next, we'd like to discuss the select board schedule for the next several months. As you know, Labor Day is the first Monday. So our meetings are usually first and third Mondays. But we can't do that. We do also have the first deadline to the Inspector General is September 3rd, which is a Thursday.
I look at a calendar.
I know that first week in September is difficult for folks. So,
what are you suggesting?
Well, we could do a couple of things. We could come in that first week in September, the Wednesday, which is, I believe, is that the 3rd?
It's the
Or
second.
The second.
If members are available for the 2nd, we could come in then, and then we come in the 14th.
Does the 2nd work for you?
We would need to move conservation if we do that.
Yes, it works for me. It's the first week of school, but I will figure it out.
I'm fine with the 2nd as well.
Yeah.
So the 2nd and the 14th.
So 2nd, 14th, 28th, and then we'll...
Get back under our normal.
Well, you might want to go actually 2 and 4 through December, 2nd and 4th. Although town meeting is the... That would actually work out, because the second Monday in November is right before town meeting. So you'd have a meeting that week.
So what you're saying, I think, is that we'll do the 2nd and the 14th of September, and then going on there, doing the 2nd and 4th Mondays of every month.
We could try that through December.
Does that work? I thought you had a problem with the 4th Monday.
No.
Oh, okay, very good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, can make it work, yes.
Okay.
That works for me.
Me too.
All right, so we'll draft that up and send around a calendar.
Awesome, I appreciate that.
Folks.
Amanda takes good care of getting those on the calendar.
The fourth Monday in November, though, is that the 23rd? I won't be here for that one.
In November?
Yeah.
But we can adjust.
Yeah, the 23rd is Thanksgiving week. We don't usually meet that week anyway, so we can fiddle with that.
It's actually, you might
Well,
not
the
want to have a
tax
meeting
class-
the same week you have fall town meeting, so we'd move in that month anyway.
So
November 10th, right?
So we could meet the 16th and the 30th, or the 9th and
Well, the 9th would be, the night before, so you could do the 16th and the 30th.
Yeah.
I can do
How's that sound?
Would you
that
do
works for me.
the tax classification on the 16th or on a separate date?
The finance director here. Is there a preference from finance whether we do tax classification on its own? So having it on a select board meeting date is okay? And I think the 16th... Okay. I think we can put them together.
Okay.
Moving on, Kingsbury Pond update.
So the U.S. Geological Survey reached out to us and said that they would love to reinstall the monitoring device on Kingsbury Pond.
Yep.
It wouldn't be activated until October 1st. It's I think probably a federal fiscal year issue. And the cost for Norfolk would be $8,800. Given, we talked earlier about this being a potential water department expense because we do have wells in the area. Given that I intend to ask the advisory board for some of the reserve account funding for the IG report purposes, I would feel better going to advisory asking for this $8,800 because we do have to pay it before town meeting. And then at town meeting, perhaps we just return the money back into the reserve account with free cash or other unexpected revenue.
I'm very comfortable with that.
Yep.
Is the board?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we'll do that, and I expect permit activity is going to heat up in the fall, probably late fall.
Okay.
And that's when we should be giving written feedback to Awesome. And so you'll give us a heads up. So I think I signed up for an email alert on that too from...
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the Kingsbury Pond Citizens Group, are they still active?
They are. I still hear from folks, but I think it would be good to get them together in September.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice if they could come to the meeting and present.
Yeah. I'll reach out to the folks.
And I think it might be helpful if we're trying to impact the decision of the DEP decision to have shared talking points, because I think that committee is really passionate and will be reaching out with personal letters, and it would be, if we have like common talking points, we can have more power.
I'll reach out to a couple of citizens tomorrow.
Thank you.
Who've been very active.
Okay. General updates. What do you have?
So we did have on the agenda tonight, but we moved it because of the activity, the interest in other actions. Our new building inspector, Jay Miller, was going to come in, and we were going to talk with firefighter Kate Howarth, who is interested in joining the Municipal Housing Trust. We'll put them on the next agenda.
Okay.
We have our conservation agent has started.
Good.
The shared conservation agent with Rentham, so that seems to be going fine. And we've been spending a lot of time on procurement.
I can imagine.
And the HR specialist, where are we with that?
So we have a part-time HR person started last week.
Okay, great.
She is a temp, and I think we'll use, she has a very specific set of skills which actually dovetail nicely with our needs right now, which is policy and procedure development. She's very good on process reform. So she's been looking at the HR handbook, getting that cleaned up, ready for, I think, we'll have a number of discrete projects for her.
Okay.
Excellent. And you were sharing with me an update about Park Street Bridge. Can you just share it with the masses?
So, well, Park Street Bridge residents may have noticed that there were some markings going on the pavements. The engineering firm, one of the engineering firms that works for the state design firms, is out there doing surveys of underground utilities in preparation for moving the design forward. So this is a very positive step. While the bridge hasn't shown up yet on a TIP, a transportation improvement plan, that's the state funding mechanism, it is in active design, which is...
Yeah. Good. That has to happen first, so. Awesome.
Wonderful. Any update from the select board? I think we probably covered a lot of them this evening.
I think we have.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to vote on the warrant articles, or the warrant?
I move that the board approve the warrants for the period of July 14, 2026 to August 11, 2026 as printed on the agenda for this meeting.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I move that, was June 1st in here, Amanda? Yes. I move that the board approve the meeting minutes of June 1st, 2026.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any other unanticipated business that we need to discuss?
I have nothing.
I'll make a motion. We adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
For staying to the bitter end.